Ian. Welcome, Morty.
Hi, Glenn. Thanks for having me. Do I sound okay?
Yeah, you sound great. Yeah, coming
Okay.
through great. Right, if you're ready, I can start the recording and everything, and then we can go into the GemPad
Yeah,
Launchpad.
ready whenever you are.
A warm welcome, everybody, for this WorldCoin Talk Spaces. I'm Glenn, your host. Today we have joining us GemPad. They're one of our partners from very early on at WorldCoin Talk, and it's been a pleasure to watch us both grow together. So yeah, let's start with the core team and how you got together and basically built the GemPad Launchpad into a household name in the crypto space. You had astonishing growth in the last 12 months. So yeah, maybe we can go into the GemPad story over the last 12 months.
Yeah, first of all, thanks for having me on, Glenn, and hello to everyone listening. So basically, how we started off was we were a group of traders, basically, just in a private group on Telegram, and we started trading together. And it actually came along that a Launchpad, or one of our co-founders, Red, he noticed there was a scam on a different Launchpad, and he went in to get it cancelled, and they wouldn't cancel it. So that kind of spurred him on to want to create a Launchpad, because we thought not only could we do it better, but we could be fair. So that's just kind of why we started it. And we started with, I think there were 6 on the team, and now there's, if you include mods and all, there's like 15 or so. So we've definitely grown a lot since then. And what's better about that is when we started off, because there's only 6 of us, there was like, I was doing marketing and I was doing KYCs and I was doing the talks and everything like that. And then the other lads were having to split their time as well. Like even Red, who's the lead dev. Now he does do a lot more, but even then he was being taken away from dev work to help the rest of us just because we needed more people. But now we're in a good situation where excuse me, we're in a very good situation where we have more people. So they're in more defined roles, so that when something comes in, we're like, okay, that's just that person's job. So that's a lot better. And we've been very, very lucky with the people we've hired. We recently enough took on Greg, was a very recent addition. I say recent, it was a month or 2 or even 3 ago. And he's brilliant, absolutely brilliant. And we couldn't be happier with everyone we've hired. And I think that's one of the biggest things. Another thing for us, and it's probably one of the main reasons why we've gotten as far as we have, is simply not being too proud and just being willing to listen to our community. So we've had comments. We have a group called the Alpha Club, and basically in this group, it's where our top holders and some partners are in. And in that group, one of the people in there actually said he was after giving us a lot of different kind of changes he'd like to see in the website. Because Red pushed through an update. This was maybe 2 months ago, and he went after the update. He went looking through it, and he said, "No, I'd like to change this, this, this." And Red looked at it all and said, "Yeah, I agree with you." Changed it all by the next day, and your man was like, "Oh, this is why I love GemPad," and that's just kind of what we're going for. Is that a fact that whether it's something we're doing wrong, and I've said this since the start, that we want to know whether we could be doing something better, whether we should stop doing something, or whether we should start doing something. We want to be told, because we like to call ourselves the community's launchpad, and I feel we've actually kind of gotten to that stage where, especially with the Alpha Club, where they have a say in things. Like even there was a project that we were thinking about cancelling it, but the alphas had invested into it, and we just said, look, it's up to you guys. What do you want to do? Because it was a bit risky. I don't want to go into too much detail. It was a little risky in what it was going to be, but we said, look, it's your money. What do you want us to do? Do you want us to cancel it? Do you want us to let it launch? It's entirely up to you. And I think in the end they went to let it launch, and I think it actually did a kind of okay at first, so it wasn't the worst thing. But that's the kind of what we kind of go off, is that you have a say at GemPad. So it's not like we'll hear you out first of all, and we're not going to do every idea you say, but we'll try and incorporate as much as we can. And if something works and it's a good idea, we'll put it in. And that's kind of one of the main reasons we've gone. And it's also developing stuff. So we try and find new things to do, and we also try and find things that are already being done out there, but we improve it. So one example of that is the token creation pool. So we now, I think nearly every launchpad has it at this rate, where you can create a token for fairly cheap. We brought it in that every token you create actually comes with an audit. So it's like 300, or sorry, it's 1 BNB for a token. So if you were to find anywhere where you could get a token and an audit for that cheap, I'd be very shocked. But it's just things like that and the anti-snipe and all. That's what we try and keep on improving. So like we literally have months and months of product releases coming out that we already have planned and already developed, some sooner rather than later, but I can't actually go into detail on what they are.
Okay, thanks very much, Morty. And the GemPad team is always looking to protect the community and investors from scams, rug pulls, slow rug pulls. You know, I've talked to you about it before. Our team's talked to you. You know, you've got your KYC and doxing that's been strengthened throughout the last year on the GemPad platform, and you've added vetted badge as well. Can we go into details?
Yeah, so we can start with the KYC. So recently enough, we actually got, well, sorry, I'll say that differently. When we started GemPad, we started doing KYCs ourselves, and it was me and it was Rainlands as well was the other person doing them. And it was okay, and we did stop some people, but look, we're a Launchpad, we're not a KYC company. So we kind of wanted to outsource that. We had tried a few different ways of doing it. And then we were approached by Assure, and Assure gave us a very good deal when it came to, like, it's 1.5 BNB for a KYC done by Assure, and they're one of, if not the leading KYC companies in the industry. So the fact to get them that cheap is great. And it's not only great for the projects, but it's great for us because it means that rather than having a whole team member, and we didn't let just anyone do it. Like, I'm a co-founder, and Rainlands is as pretty much a co-founder as well. He was here since the start. So the fact that it had to be one of us doing it, we didn't really want to have it to any new hire, just for the fact that the sensitive data they're handling, and the fact that it wasn't even that we thought they might do anything, but it's just if they made a mistake with it. So that's why it has to be done by one of us. And that meant that one of us was taken away. And like, some KYC calls are 5 minutes, some of them took half an hour. So that's a lot of time that you're taking away when you could be doing something else. So the fact that Assure took over, and let's be totally honest, they're going to be way better at it than us. So the fact that they took over, we were able to keep it at the same price. So it's 1.5 BNB we were charging, and we still charge that, but it's a lot better. And not only is it good for kind of projects and stuff, because it's a good KYC and it's cheap, it's affordable, but it's also good for investors because Assure have a very, very detailed process. I can't actually talk about it because it harms when they're trying to KYC someone, because when they're doing a KYC, they don't just KYC anyone and say, oh yeah, that's fine, and we'll graft you. They'll actually investigate and try and figure out if they think that person is likely to rug or if they're an actor, and they do a series of interviews and just things like that. Now, as I said, I can't go into detail, but they are very good at it, and so we're delighted to have them. So another thing we added, and sorry as well, they are the KYC Plus badge. So we gave them the Plus badge because it means it shows that they're a bit better, and it also shows that they're our KYC provider. So another thing we released is the vetted badge. So originally the vetted badge was to do with some partners. It was DeFi skeptics, but I believe they may have actually stopped doing it at the moment. So we are bringing out a new way of doing vetted, but I can't go into too much detail yet because nothing is set in stone. But you will see the vetted badge change a bit, and we'll also have an audit plus badge. So it'll be similar to KYC plus badge, where it shows that it's only select audit companies. So you'll see if they have an audit badge, you can know it's pretty good. But if they have an audit plus badge, you should know it's a lot better, and it's a lot like the likes of Certic and stuff like that. We've offered it to. Now it's no extra charge or anything. It's just their particular badges will be audit plus badges. But yeah, and actually, when you talk about safety, one thing I want to touch on is, if anyone's following it, you might have seen we actually had a project called Pluto Pepe launch on us, or try to launch with us. It was a common tier on Ethereum. I believe it was just a normal pre-sale on Ethereum. And basically we got reports that it was a serial rugger behind it who had actually rugged on our platform before. Now, anyone who knows GemPad well knows we've had maybe 6 or 7 rogues on GemPad in about a year. So we remember the ones that do. And this guy, Shane is his name, if anyone has ever heard of him. He's been associated with a lot of rogues, a lot of different scams and stuff like that. So we got reports that it was him on this Pluto Pepe, and we received private evidence because we were told we can't release it, and the reasons why we're not going to say, but it made sense to us why we weren't going to release it. And basically we were convinced it was him, and we put it out. We have the GemPad court, and so we released a post about it in there, and we released a post in main basically saying we're cancelling it and why we're cancelling it. Now the thing is, the owner of Pluto Pepe was the owner of a token called Beep. So the Beep token I think it was doing pretty well considering the market. I think it still launched, it got up to like 3 million or something like that. And we had nothing to do with that. It had nothing to do with us. We were talking about Pluto Pepe and that we believed it was Shane, judging from the evidence. And the holders of Beep token actually came into our court and started giving out to us saying that we were fudding them and that they were trying to get us to release information and everything like that. And we were like, no, you're just going to have to trust us. And it was kind of funny because I was like, what would we get out of it? Because like if we had let it launch, we would have actually got about 2.5 grand from letting it launch. But because we cancelled it, we lost out on money and had to put up with everything. And they were still accusing us of like making it up or lying or anything. And we were like, but why would we lie? Like, why do we, like, there's no incentives for us to lie. In fact, it would have been a lot easier to just let it launch, but we didn't want to do that because we didn't want people to lose a lot of money, especially with who it was when we knew we knew it was him pretty much. So we just didn't want to let that launch. And eventually, we actually managed to get his IP address. And it was actually matched to an IP address that was from the previous rug. I believe it was called Safeway Chain. Yeah, well, Safeway Chain that actually did launch, and it was a smallish Ethereum pre-sale, and that launched and it rubbed. And so we also had a feeling that was Shane, and we managed to match the IP address from that to the Pluto Pepe person, or the Beat Dev rather. So then we knew, and we released that into the court, and the people told us that it was forged. So that was quite funny to be like, why would we bother? And they were saying that basically they felt that we had got it wrong in the first place, and we were trying to save face by making up stuff to prove it right. And we were like, look, believe it if you want to. We're putting it out there. This is what we're saying. You can believe us or not, but this is all we can do. We can't force you to sell, or we can't force you to listen to us. And basically, then they had the dev of the Beep token was going to do an AMA, and they did, and they were going to dox on the AMA. But the thing about this is Shane has paid people to do KYC and stuff before, so we said that to him, and they were still, and we said, look, we're not going to believe it's not Shane if someone does a AMA, because that won't prove anything to us because these fake KYCs, never mind AMAs before. But anyway, we went and we actually listened into the AMA, and the person didn't put on camera, and it was, in my opinion, it sounded like it was being read from a script, and everyone actually came back in and apologized. And they were, to be fair to a lot of them, they came in and said, look, we were wrong. We were just too heavily invested and we couldn't see. So I don't hold anything against them, but it was just funny that we were trying to do the right thing, and it actually made it more difficult on ourselves. But we were, like, at the end of the day, excuse me, at the end of the day, we were all happy we did it. So it's not the worst thing in the world, but it's a pretty funny story that we were actually stopping a scammer and we still had people giving out to us. But I understand where they were coming from, to be honest.
That's an awesome story, Morty. And yeah, so it's great that you're trying to protect the community and investors. Like I say, you're looking at maybe quality over quantity. So is there a lot of projects you have to turn down? I mean, you did an amazing 539 projects launched on the GemPad in 2022. Is there like a percentage figure where you actually don't really like it and say, this looks a bit scammy, and you turn down a percentage of projects for the Launchpad?
do and we don't. So what's really good is like we did turn down one, and because I was doing the KYC, and the person that was KYCing for them. Now this is fully true story because I was the one doing it all. So basically, what happened is this person came on to do KYC with us, and it was very early on in GemPad, and they came on to do KYC, and everything was fine. And I asked him what the role in the project was, and he said he was a mod, and that it was just his turn to do it, but they were paying him a bit extra to do it. And that was really weird to us and as well, because we have groups with all the projects. So basically, initially anyway, because it's a bit different, because obviously Assure are doing the KYCs now. But when we were doing it, it was a pretty big red flag if the person doing KYC hadn't been talking very much in our group with us. So if in that private group with the team, our GemPad team, the projects team, if the person doing KYC isn't talking a lot, we think that's a big red flag, and we're a bit iffy about passing it. And then when you kind of said paid and all, we just didn't like it, and so we didn't let that project launch. And because we went as far as well doing the interview and on Zoom and everything, and we ended up not letting it launch, and it ended up launching elsewhere. And I don't think it hard rugged, but it dumped a lot. So we didn't look too much into it because it already happened and it was on a different platform. But it wasn't a good launch, so we were pretty happy that it didn't launch on GemPad. And then 2 or 3 months later, again doing the KYC, and I got sent the ID, and it was the same guy, and we were like, okay, this is definitely paid. That the minute I got sent it, I rang the 3 other co-founders and like, lads, we can't let this project launch because I'm pretty sure it's just the same guy back. So that was kind of pretty funny. But we have cancelled other projects too, and we've actually, what's really good is Assure have cancelled it. Well, they haven't cancelled, but they've not passed them for KYC, and because of that, we almost definitely don't let it launch. Like so we usually get reasons behind it, and there's not too many reasons. So I'm not going to say, but like I'm not going to say that we'd never allow a project to launch if it doesn't pass Assure. But I don't it's unlikely enough as there has to be a very specific reason why it wouldn't pass Assure, but we'd feel okay launching it. But again, that's kind of why the tiers are there as well. So if a project is of a really good quality, it'll be up higher. But if we have some doubts about it, that can be why it's lower. Now, it's not always doubts why it's lower. Sometimes it's like a bigger hard cap and stuff like that. And the thing is with tiers is we actually often we lose projects because they'll want to come in and be diamond. And we're like, look, it's not a diamond project, or it would be a diamond project if you lowered the hard cap. And they're like, no, we're not doing anything. We want to be diamond. And we're like, well, you can't be diamond then. And then they just go elsewhere. But we have to stick to our guns, or else the tiers don't mean anything.
Definitely, Morty. And let's just touch on the UI and UX. That's the user interface design and user experience design. Who built that? It's one of the best, if not the best, in my opinion, for a Launchpad. Was it built in-house or was it outsourced?
Yeah, so everything we build is in-house, bar very, very small things. So I think like the sticker pack we might in our Telegram we might outsource, very small things like that, where we just don't want to take up the designer's time. But no, this was all done. So Red is our lead dev and Minx is our graphic designer. So Minx has done, I'd say 95% of all graphics, and probably 99 actually, to be honest with you. So any kind of banner you see or any kind of design on the website, that's all Minx and Red kind of together. And we have another dev team of kind of 3 or 4. And they're like, we pay them wages, like they're part of the team. They're the dev team. So it's all done in-house. And I think that's what made us be able to build so much. Because we didn't have to outsource anything, we were able to make things at a lower cost than most people. So that's why I think we've gotten such a good website. And as well, we are trying to constantly update it as well. So a recent enough date is if you see the banner that's normally on the pool page is actually on the project's card now. So we actually really like that. We thought that was a very cool update. And yeah, we're trying to basically keep improving. We get suggestions the whole time. Like a suggestion we had recently enough is that maybe there's a little too much going on. So we're having a look at that and seeing if we can kind of improve it, because that's what we want to do. We actually want every type of feedback. So whether it's positive, negative, whatever, we want to hear. Because often we have some partners that are like, oh, I don't mean any offense, but maybe if you did this, and we're like, no, keep coming, keep telling us, you'll never offend us. And that's the biggest thing, is then even whether it's, as I said, Red and Minx have put so much work into making that as good as it is. And if we got a load of people coming in and telling us that the color doesn't look nice, they'd be like, okay, we'll change it. What we change it to? And that's, I think, why we're where we are and how we've grown so well, is because we're willing to kind of bend and flex to different kind of, with different requests and stuff like that.
I see, multi. And you're the only Launchpad offering stealth launches. Who came up with the idea on the team, and how does it work for developers and project owners? Can we go into the details?
Yeah, so it was actually my idea. And what was actually kind of funny about it so I'll kind of start at the start. So I had always liked stealth launches. I always said I made more money off stealth launches than I did pre-sales. Now that is probably just because I bought more stealth launches than pre-sales, but I always said it was. And I especially during the bull as well, is that you had the case where when a project still launched, you were kind of waiting for it to launch, and you were kind of wondering, once it launched, then you're waiting, should I buy now or should I wait till after they lock the liquidity? And if you bought before they lock it, they could rug. If you buy after it, you kind of miss that pump. So that was always a kind of issue I felt. Another one was the fact that you'd have a late contract address. So a team would let the team and their friends and family or whoever buy in, would pump it up, and then we'll release the contract address, and by then it'd be too late. And it could ruin a project as well. And not to mention that you could lose money. And another problem then is obviously if they send in a fake contract address. So sometimes people, maybe it's a rogue mod or something like that, and they send in the fake contract address, and then you buy in, you lose a load of money. So we try to avoid all that. We wanted to get rid of all those different problems. And another actually thing before I go on to the fixes is another problem we had was when you start launch, usually you start with a lower budget, because there's no pre-sale, so you don't get any funds from that. Sometimes they can do a private sale, but even then it kind of has to be smaller if it's going to work. So we decided with the start launches that the contract address will appear on the card when it launches. So it won't ever be there till it launches, but because it's there when it launches, it's shown at the same time for everyone. So there's no late contract addresses, there's no fake contract addresses. It's all fair to everyone involved, and there's no real risk of anyone putting in a fake one. Now they can put a fake one in Telegram, but then we'd say, well, you should look at the site then, because you know it's going to be right there. And some other ways that it improved it as well is the fact that, as I said, you don't have a huge budget when you're launching. So when you do this, you actually get a lot of advertisement. So we can basically pin the pre-sale. So what that means is it will be the first card on the pre-sale page. So we've gotten up to, well, over 40,000 unique visitors daily. So if we put you up there, that's 40,000 people that can see your sale. And for a still launch, that's pretty huge. And another reason why still launching at GemPad is really good is because the liquidity is actually locked at launch. So it kind of works in the same way as a pre-sale, that when you launch, it's liquidity straight away locked. So there's no worrying about, oh, do I buy in now? Do I buy in after the liquidity lock? Because it's just straight away at launch. So it should make them a bit safer. And it's not too expensive. It's the same as a normal pre-sale. So it's just one BNB listing. And so it's not too bad. But you get a lot of stuff from it. So you get that marketing, you get the community kind of gets a safer feel, so it should be easier to kind of get them involved. And we really, really, really want to try and push this to be, this is the way you still launch from now on. Because if everyone kind of still launches through us, or even someone similar, look, I'm not saying, oh, I want everyone to launch through us. But even if they launch through someone similar or something similar, or even with us, it'll make stealth launches so much better because they're so much harder to rug and it's so much harder to scam with kind of like, even as I say, rogue mods and stuff like that. So I would love if this is just becomes the norm that you still launch through a Launchpad. And look, it's a little bit expensive, but because you get that advertisement from being pinned, because you get that, it kind of does even out. And as well, like, sorry, let me just take a drink real quick. So, what was I going to say? Oh, yeah, sorry. So another good thing about it as well is that you actually get to add, you have a choice of adding liquidity, whether it's yourself or whether it's your friends and family, or even you can open it to the public. So there's a few different ways of launching and raising the funds for the sale launch, because it does work more or less like a pre-sale, and there is even different types of stealth launches. So you can do a fair launch stealth launch, you can do a hyper launch stealth launch. So you can do a few different things in a few different ways to kind of get started. So, and we've had a few already. One of them was called Goblin Inu. It went 54x, and we've had a few other ones, but that's just the kind of main one that stands out to me. So we kind of want to keep pushing that out there to try and get it to be the norm, that if someone's going to start launch, they're like, oh, which platform are you launching on? Just because it'll be so much safer for everyone involved.
Awesome, Morty. Yeah, I think, stealth launches might come back this year, but we did have nearly everything a fair launch when we had FTX collapse and the calamity of 222. And I think, we're going to stabilize in 223 and stealth launches will become a lot more popular. So that's great for projects and developers to be able to use that on the GemPad. And from an investor sort of standpoint, how would I get involved with a stealth launch? You said it's pinned. So if I'm hanging around on the GemPad Launchpad, would I get like a chance to get in there early, or have you built it into your alarm system for pre-sales so you can tell investors that there's a stealth launch starting?
So you kind of would need to be checking the site to have a look out for them, so that if one comes up, you'd find it. But it will be displayed on the card, so you'll see it will say stealth launch. If you just trying, yeah, so it says right under the name, it says stealth launch, so they'll stand out pretty well. So you can get involved by, if it's open to public, you might actually be able to buy in and get it a few coins and be the very first person to get it on a stealth launch. So it's a kind of almost like a pre-sale for the stealth launch or a private sale for the stealth launch. And sometimes you'll be able to get a whitelist spot. It depends how the project works. And then as well, it's also probably the best place to get the contract address from, so that you can then be hopefully one of the first to actually buy it at launch. And yeah, you're definitely right at saying that about the stealth launches. I think stealth launches can be very good for when the market's not great, because sometimes it's hard to, with a pre-sale, to raise a lot and then get a lot of, like, if you're trying to get kind of exits and stuff, it can be difficult, and it can be difficult to avoid dumps as well in a pre-sale. So with a stealth launch, sometimes it can be a bit easier to kind of grow it up a bit.
I see, Morty. And do projects approach you before they launch and ask what do you think? Should we have a stealth launch, pre-sale, fair launch? And because my project's X, Y, and Z, so there's better ways for different projects. Do you have sort of advice and help for projects before launch?
Oh, definitely. Yeah. So basically, the listing team, which now consists of Bina, Niall, and Tawi, so they will, as I said, they kind of make groups with every single project, and they'll discuss with them. So whether, like you said, it's the type of launch. So sometimes we have a project coming to us that wants to do a fair launch, and we're like, well, have you thought about a hyper launch? So a hyper launch is a bit different from a fair launch. Instead of being completely unlimited and allowing anyone to invest, it's limited by contributors. So it more or less works the same way, but you could have, say, only 20 people are allowed to invest, but they can invest however much they want. And so it's a little bit of a different take on a fair launch, and it kind of ensures that there's more, well, hopefully ensures there's more buy pressure at launch. So we do get it a lot. And I think the biggest thing the lads face is the hard cap. So I know from speaking with them, and I've been in some of the groups myself, but it's mostly from speaking with them, that they'll have a project coming and they'll be like, oh, I want to raise 1,000 BNB. And the lads will take one look at the project and be like, okay, no, you need to lower that. And sometimes maybe it's a brilliant project, but it's like maybe they don't have the best marketing, or it can be a multitude of different things. And a lot of times it's just the market as well. People want to raise what they raised in the bull, and that just isn't going to happen. And a good thing as well is that because we have so many options, we kind of have something for everyone. So you want the stealth launch, we can do that. You want the fair launch, we can do that. If you want something else that's not quite a fair launch, we have the hyper launch. That's another one of our inventions that we're trying to push out. And you can even host private sales with us. So if you want to do partials, privates, anything like that, can be done with us as well.
Okay, great, Morty. Yeah, I mean, that happened over the last 12 months, January to April. There were some huge successes. And then we hit the bull market, and I think some of them, they've got great teams and great owners and developers, and they come back, September, October, wanting to raise thousands of BNB, and yeah, it was a sort of crazy ask that just because you've done well in the bull market doesn't mean, however great your team is or anything, you're going to be able to do that in a bear market. It's a totally different market, and need to sort of readjust their expectations. But let's go into the GemPad Gem token. So that launched last year. What advantages investors get for holding the GemPad token? I know you've got the tiered access to pre-sales if you hold X amount of the token for investors there.
So there's a few different advantages, and we will bring out more, but I actually can't talk about them anymore at the moment. But there will be more. But at the moment, like you said, depending on how much you hold. So it's 50,000 gets you into gold, and everything above gold can stake. So you have to have a tier, and then you can stake. Now, at the minute, we are updating our staking pools, and I'll get onto that in a bit. But yeah, so basically 50,000 gives you staking, and you get into gold pre-sales. Platinum, which is 90,000 gems, gives you staking, and you get into platinum and gold pre-sales. And then diamond is 180,000 gems, and you get into all three tiers. Now, there is a fourth tier type of holder, and it's a little different from the rest of them. So the other ones you just have to hold, and like you can buy in and then sell straight away if you want to do that, but you will lose 10% each way on tax. So if you're buying and holding for diamond, so that's 180,000 gems, if you do that for 7 days in a row, you will actually get put into the Alpha Club. So what the Alpha Club is, it's a private group with us. It's actually very active. The guys, the investors that are in there already are very, very active. They talk a lot, and they're the ones as well that they get to decide on what we're doing. So like, we try and have them vote on stuff like that. Like I said with the project, where if we're like, oh, should we cancel it? Should we not? We'll ask them, especially if it's only them that have invested on it. We might actually just leave it up to them, like I said before, where it's totally up to them because it's their money. So the Alpha Club is one of our best things we've done. We're actually very happy with it because not only like is it helping us with kind of development and stuff like that, it's brilliant for, they're very good supporters. So they always have our backs and stuff like that. And it has created a more community feel in there. That's one of the main benefits, that if you can manage to get up to alpha tier, you can get up there. Now, the thing about alpha tier is we do monitor the wallet. So if you dump your 180,000 tons, you'll get kicked out. And you get certain, what's the word? Opportunities in the Alpha Club. So that would be kind of like, we might have a very, very, very good project, and if we have limited whitelists, or even if we have the whole project, only the alphas will get in. And it won't even be all the alphas, it'll only be some of them. So if you're like that, and if it's only alphas, we actually have selling rules. So if the project is only alpha, they're not allowed to sell. A lot of it, they're not allowed to dump it, is more the better thing to say rather than sell, because they are allowed to sell. And we do emphasize that we don't want them to hold it into the ground, because we don't want all our alphas to just have no money anymore. So we want them to make money, but we don't want them dumping all over it. And they have done very well. And now there's always been one or two that have dumped, and we just kick them, no questions asked.
Okay, great, Morty. And with the tiered access, we've just spoke about that there, but will it adjust, say if GemPad's, 5 times higher in market cap in the summer, would the token price be adjusted so the maximum amount of people could get involved?
Yeah, we talked about that at the start, that if it does go up a lot, where it kind of, say, even gold costs a lot or diamond might be thousands, we will lower it. And we'll probably have to do it slowly but surely, just so that to avoid dumps and stuff like that. I think it will, well, we'll kind of have to touch on that when we come back. We haven't really worried about it too much because even though it's gotten high at some points, the market's been so bad that we kind of don't mind the chart too much. And even all our holders, like especially now, none of them are holding really to kind of like make a quick profit or anything. They're all holding because they get all the projects and stuff like that. But yeah, we will definitely look at lowering the tiers when it gets to that stage. And like that would be something as well we can ask the alphas. So it might be like we bring them a few different ideas and we let them vote on it, or even sometimes we just start a conversation. So we just ask them, like, lads, what would you think about us lowering the tiers if it gets up too high? And then we just get to hear what they say, because they, especially the alphas, will be the ones that we can mess over the most if we lower it too quickly and everyone dumps on them and stuff like that. So getting their opinion is one of the best things we can do.
I see, more and let's jump into the staking with GemPad. There's lots of options for investors. How does it work?
So originally when we had staking, it was just gem staking. So the gem staking was, I believe it was like 120% APR, something like that. And that was all it was. You could just take your gems and you had to be gold or above. But Red wanted to bring out staking for other projects as well. So any project, whether it launched by themselves through their own website or on a stealth launch or anything like that, or even if it has launched with GemPad, you can create a staking pool at GemPad. It costs 1 BNB and it costs 2% of the distributed rewards. So that means that whatever you're putting in the staking pool to give out as rewards, 2% will kind of go to us. And what we do with that 2% is we will airdrop it. Sometimes it'll go to alphas, and sometimes, and we may use it for promotional campaigns. I'm not going to say for definite either way. Like, it's more than likely nearly a lot of times going to go to alphas. But we're saying that there might be some occasions where we'll be like, we want to use that for a kind of promotion or something like that. But when we're talking about it, alphas were going to get a lot of the 2%. But basically, yeah, it's a great thing because it's 1 BNB, you get a staking pool and for your project, so it's a lot cheaper, and you'll kind of get advertisement because people will be going on and looking at other staking pools. So the fact you'll have it on our site. What's also great about it is that no coding involved. It's very, very easy to do. And you obviously don't need to hire a dev or anything, so you'll save on costs. And you don't even actually have to talk to us, is a great thing for us and for the projects. So it's all done on the website through smart contracts. You can come onto the site, you just go into stake, and I believe it's called, yeah, create staking pool. Just go in there and follow the steps. We will have a tutorial coming up on it at some stage. I don't quote me on when it will be, but we'll have a tutorial on it. And this way you'll just be able to, excuse me, you'll be able to just so it's super clear. Now it is straightforward enough. Like when we created it, Red had me just go on and do it without his help to see what it was like, and it was actually fine. There wasn't anything too much, and anything that was confusing, I wrote it up on Gitbook. So the Gitbook also has a complete step-by-step guide of how to create a staking pool. If there's anything wrong with that or anything you don't understand, pop into Telegram and you can tag me. So I'm at Morty Games. So tag me in our Telegram and ask me, because I wrote it, so you can blame me if there's something wrong about it. And will have our own staking pool. So we'll be making our own gem staking pool on that. The APR is not set in stone yet, so that's why our alphas are actually asking about it. And we said we actually haven't set it yet, so we'll tell you when we do. But we had an audit for it, and the audit actually came back flawless. And Red decided he wasn't that good, so he said he's going to send it off for another one because he was shocked. So he said there's always something you can do to make it better. So he said he'd get a second opinion just to be sure. Now there is a chance he somehow did it perfect, but he said he'd rather be safe.
Okay, I see. Yeah, that sounds great. And what sort of partnerships have you been building? I think I was looking, you've got like over 100 partnerships now. So, you know, how do people approach you for partnerships? What do you consider? Do you consider projects, other areas in crypto and the real world?
So any kind of partnerships that helps GemPad or projects or community we'd consider. So we try to partner with a lot of kind of like Twitter Spaces and AMA channels like yourselves. That way we can get our message around and we can share projects and stuff. That's a big thing. We want to start expanding more into Twitter and more into YouTube as well. But we've been well, I was going to say we've been hesitant, but there's just been other priorities. So like I said, we're slowly kind of moving the team around to where people can concentrate and get things done properly. So up until recently, I was doing marketing. And even a few months ago, even at the start for the several months, I was just doing it by myself. But now we're moving things around where I'll still be part of the marketing, but I'll be doing a different part of it. And it just should work a lot better where we have time to concentrate on different things and deliver things properly. Because that's the thing that no matter how good we'll get, we'll always be able to do better. And that's a big thing we believe in.
Okay. Great, Monty. And how do you sort of market the platform? Is it mainly word of mouth now? Do you still have scouts going out looking for promising projects you'd like to attract to the Launchpad to launch with you? How does it work? You know, for the token and the GemPad Launchpad to you know, marketing.
Well, when it comes to marketing, we do different campaigns. So sometimes it's just about getting our partners to post around stuff, or even doing kind of giveaways with partners. Like we did one with yourselves. Yeah, for Christmas we did. Yeah, I was down at myself, but yeah, we did. So yeah, and it's just stuff like that. It's great marketing for both us and the partners. What's also great is just getting projects, like you said yourself, about how we're getting in projects that even getting a project is great because that's just free marketing because people who are investing in that project mightn't have ever heard of GemPad and then all of a sudden they're buying on GemPad and like you said, our UI and UX is very good and I can say that without blowing my own trumpet because I didn't make it, so I think it's unbelievable. But so once they kind of get on and they use it, they like it and they stay. So that's why getting in projects is one of the best things. But actually getting projects, so up until recently, very recently, the listing team were some of the main people going out and getting them. So we had Niall, Towie, and Bina. They were getting them. Now they still are, and they have been for a long time. And I don't know if they'll ever stop getting them, but we have agents who have been there as well. But Pip, a guy who has moved over from a different launchpad, he has been a big thing on helping them improve, and he's done calls with them where he's answered questions and given them tips and tricks and stuff. They're one of the best things, the agents for finding projects. And they'll just go out and get them. And anyone can become an agent. So if you want to become an agent, Pip will interview you and he'll see if you're willing to do it, if you have the drive to do it, because it can be difficult enough. And you'll only get paid if you bring in a project. But if you do bring in a project, you get 1%. So we like to laugh and joke that we've had agents where they were better paid than all of the GemPad team. Like we always say that this one guy he was better paid than the GemPad team for like 3 months straight and stuff like that, just because he got so good at bringing in projects and his 1% is his, so he's going to get it whether it's more than us or whatever.
Sounds awesome. So that's open to, you know, individual investors and influencers, anyone.
Yeah, anyone can get it, and it's 1% of the raise. So if they raise just, for example, 100,000 BUSD, you'll get 1,000, just like that, just for bringing the project in and setting up the group.
Nice. Let's open it up for spaces questions. Let's see. We've got Captain Levi. You had a question? Go ahead.
Yeah, thanks, Glenn. All right, I just have about 2 questions. The first I wanted asking was that when it comes to security, are you guys somehow interacting with audit processing security organizations like the likes of SETI and other maybe private or business audit providers, so that when they see a fishy dev or maybe a fishy project, they give some kind of APB alert, and you guys receive that alert and warn people about it. Do you guys have any such collaboration?
I got most of that. Sorry, I couldn't really hear entirely properly, but I think you were asking basically about audits and stuff like that. So yeah, so we've gotten the whole platform audited. We've had like even our token creation portal has audits, and our staking has an audit. Like I said, that our staking audit came back so good that we actually decided that we needed a second one because we were like, he might have missed something, so let's do it again. So Red is very particular about that. He wants everything to be as perfect as it can be. And that's kind of what's great, and what makes GemPad so great is that he is a perfectionist pretty much, where he will try and make it as perfect as he can. Now, obviously, he's not going to get everything perfect, but that's why we get audits. So we're very particular about having the safety, having it backed up by an audit, that the code is safe and it's not at risk of anything like that.
All right, all right. I was actually asking if you were, connected with any other audit processing companies, maybe the likes of SETIT, to, alert people of, fishy looking projects and maybe fishy looking devs.
Say that again. Sorry, I didn't catch that.
Maybe I'm just going to ask it in your socials, so that other speakers can actually speak.
Okay.
Okay, thanks for the questions, Captain Levi. We've got Aisha. You had a question for Morty at GemPad. Go ahead.
Yeah, thanks, Glenn. I was wondering, is GemPad also offering other services like contract development, influencer marketing, website development, and community management for the project creators looking for these services?
Yeah, so we have a lot of projects coming to us that sometimes they have a really good project and maybe they're not the best marketers, or sometimes it's the other way around. They're really good marketers, but they need a dev to build their product or whatever like that. They could have a really good idea, and we can connect them to that. So we have several people on our site. So on our Git book, you'll see different people for different things. We can also do the marketing ourselves. So what I mean by that is that if a project comes to us, the listing team will help you out. So they can arrange the marketing if they have time. No, I don't know if they've done one in a while, but they do basically where they'll make the plan for you. They'll go and set them up and stuff like that. So they can provide that. We do have contacts for mod teams. So if you ever need them, we can put them in contact. And if there's something that we don't have that's not in the Git book, and we can go find it for you, because we are after building up in the past like year or so, we're after building up so many connections that we can kind of get anything a project needs.
Okay. And over the year, you have secured a lot of partnerships. I was wondering, what partnership do you think is the most crucial for GemPad and why?
So I wouldn't be able to put a specific one. I would say AMA groups like this one would be one of the top ones, because the AMA groups, not only is it great that we can get our message across, sometimes they link us with projects and just stuff like that. That's one of the biggest things. Assure would definitely be up there. Having them take over KYC is huge, not only for like the fact that it's really good for the business, but it means that we have more time to do other things, which again also good for GemPad. Yeah, I'd say something like Assure or AMA channels, something like that, or even the auditors. That's the thing, that we need them all. So there's not, if we took away our audit partners, we'd be done. If we took away our AMA partners, we wouldn't have a hope of surviving. If they took away Assure, I would probably cry, because then I might have to do KYCs again. So that's kind of, every single partner we have is important.
Okay, that makes sense. Okay, I was also wondering, when you cancel the pre-sale of any project based on solid evidence, Do you also report project creators to the concerned investigating authorities when possible?
Yeah, so the way it, well, we don't actually anymore because we don't do the KYCs. We have Assure, well, we don't have them do it, Assure do it. So that's part of their, when you're paying them the KYC, if you do break the law, they will compile a report, put it together and report it to the authorities. So that's part of what comes with Assure, is that they will do the investigating, they will do the reporting and all that, and it's better because they are much better at us than all of it, because even just purely based on experience, how long they've, like, as in how long they've been doing it, the contacts they've made, it's so much better having them do it than us. So yeah, so we do it in a way, but it's not actually us, it's Assure.
Okay, that's great. I think, yeah, that was all Aisha's questions. Like I say, it's great that you can, decide to outsource certain parts of GemPad, and if they're the best in the business at doing the KYCs, it frees up time for the team to get on with everything else that they're great at as well. So that's really cool. Let's open it up to Venice. You had a question for Morty at GemPad. Go ahead.
Yeah, thank you so much, Glenn. I have a couple of the questions. Actually, as you guys mentioned, and I saw the evidences that you guys shared in the GemPad's Court of Justice about Pluto Peep, showing that the Sefu chain and Pluto Peep owner logged in from the same IP. It got me thinking that, in your opinion, sharing these kind of information publicly can make scammers more aware that they try new techniques every time to scam the people. So, don't you think this should not make them aware, so that they keep on trying previous techniques to scam the people, and you guys can determine which one is scammer or not?
I do agree with you there. It would be great if we could have just said we had proof, but unfortunately, no one believed us. Well, I say no one, a lot of people did, but we had a lot of people that didn't believe us. And when we did release that, we actually had some people messaging us being like, that were defending Beep. They messaged us and said, "Oh my God, I now I believe it." When we released that, so we felt we kind of had to do it. But like, there's a lot of different ways to kind of catch them, and I think, like, since Assure took over, I don't think we've had a rug on our platform. Definitely not one done by them anyway. So the fact that we've done that so far has been really good, and even up till before Assure, I think we had maybe 6 rugs, if even that many. So the fact that we've done this well to try and avoid them, we're kind of okay letting that out because we have different ways of catching them. But even before they even launch or anything like that, through assuring ourselves. So I do get what you're saying, but we felt like we had to release that because people were asking for more evidence. And this was something that we could post because there was some evidence that we couldn't post.
Yeah, I understand that completely. So I have another question. As you have Alpha Tier, where you guys incubate projects, so it got me thinking that, are there any university projects or initiatives that have launched under GemPad's Alpha Tier? And if yes, then what impact did it have on the students involved?
What impact did it have on the what involved? Sorry, I didn't catch that.
Yeah, I was saying that in your in the GemPad's Alpha Tier, are there any university projects or initiatives in which that students of a specific university or college have been involved? And if yes, then what impact did it have on the students' involvement?
No, not that I know of. No, I don't know. Not off the top of my head, I don't think there was. No.
Okay, understood. And is there any plan to reach out to university students that are looking to launch a project under the Alpha Tier?
No, but there could be now that you say it. We don't have any plans in place, but that is something that we can definitely look at doing, because it sounds like it could be a good way of getting not only getting projects, but kind of getting their name out there. So that's something we'll definitely look into now that you've said it. So thank you.
Yeah, I think this is the gap between educational institutes and industries which needs to be filled, because there could be many students or researchers that want to create a project under the GemPad's alpha tier. Okay, I have one more question. Uh, can you provide more information on the criteria and process for becoming a partner of GemPad, and how it does differ from being incubated by GemPad? Because I feel most of the new projects and even AMA channels want to be a partner with GemPad to grab more attention from projects and investors.
So the main criteria with partnering with GemPad is that we both need to get something out of it. So obviously, if it is like a call channel or something, they're getting projects out of us. So we're sending them projects, or even they're just on our Git book. And sometimes that's enough to kind of bring them income because they're a GemPad partner. So we want to kind of get something back. So whether it's they're bringing a project with them or they're going to bring more with them, that's usually a big thing. Like if someone is coming in and saying, I want to partner, and we're like, okay, what are you offering us? And they say, I can call your projects. It's like, oh, yeah, you're going to need to be a really good like channel or Twitter or YouTuber for that to work. A lot of times it's, okay, you can bring us, they'll say like, oh, I'm bringing this project and I'll have another one next week. And we're like, yeah, that's good. And obviously that you can't bring projects and that be it. You have to bring projects and obviously still be a good channel. So yeah, that's one of the main kind of criteria is that they need to be a good channel or AMA, stuff like that. And as well, sometimes like say if a YouTuber is charging for videos, they might offer us a percentage referrals for any projects they send us. And again, that's just helping GemPad. So it's just making GemPad better. So bringing in another source of income. So yeah, I think mainly the simple answer is that the partner needs to give something to GemPad that GemPad gives to the partner.
Okay, thank you. Everything is clear now, and thank you so much for answering all my questions.
Perfect. Thanks for the questions, man.
Thanks for the questions, Venice. And I was wondering, Morty, do you have educational resources and tutorials, videos, and sort of text explanations how to use the Launchpad for new investors that have never used a Launchpad?
Yes, so we have one. You made one for us, Glenn, didn't you? You did.
I think we did, yeah.
yeah, you did, yeah. Because when I thought so, but then when you were asking, I was like, wait, I didn't want to sound too confident saying yeah if you didn't. But yeah, so Whalecoin Talk thankfully made one for us, and the good one, it's up on their YouTube. So that's one way. We have some ourselves about just kind of showing you around the Launchpad. We're making one for each token. So each create a token, you'll be able to go in and see. So whether it's a simple token or standard token or whatever. I think there's 3 of them of our own ones up. I had made some a few months ago, but then like I was saying that we had only 6 people starting off and people are having to do several jobs. So now that we have a lot more people, we have a lot more time. So we've kind of started them again. So there are some up on our YouTube channel and there will be more and more. So that's the thing as well, is that we should get more of those up, because once the first one got up and we've kind of got the system on, okay, who records it, who edits it, Jesus, and then who kind of uploads it and stuff like that. We're kind of streamlining that process, so we should get them up a lot quicker from now on.
Definitely, yeah, it is a long process. Editing can be like 5 to 10 hours depending on the length of it, and shorter ones can be even longer. I found out recently than a 10-minute sort of YouTube promotion. But yeah, for the future, 223 is a great building time for projects and companies like GemPad, Launchpad, Whalecoin Talk. We've been doing that, and yeah, as the masses come into crypto, then yeah, educational resources will be massive. But let's go back to one more question. Ramat, you had a question for Morty. Go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Glenn. Okay, you said that you ask alphas regarding canceling any pre-sale or about other GemPad aspects, as they are the investors. So I was thinking, what if some alphas what if alphas can't reach any consensus unanimously? Then how will the decision be going to be made?
It will probably just fall to us, to be honest with you. It depends a lot. Like, to be honest, they usually do agree with each other because they talk about it. And that's the great thing, is that before we kind of have the vote, we'll actually ask them the question first, and we'll let them talk amongst themselves. And that usually ends up that whoever kind of has the best reason for why they're voting one way or another will convince the other people. So that's one good thing about it, or well, one of many good things about it, about the Alpha Club. But yeah, so they nearly always do agree. If it came down to it where it was exactly 50-50, the GemPad team would probably just decide. And it would depend as well on what it is. So yeah, it would depend on what it is, but more than likely we'd just have to decide ourselves. But usually we'd hope that they would be able to decide. Or we might even try and phrase the question differently, or ask them again, or give them more time to think about it and see.
Yeah, it makes sense. Okay, final question. So I want to know that what is the main focus of GemPad in 2023, and what new features or utilities are you planning on adding this year? What can we expect?
So I can't go into the details about what we're bringing out, but we are bringing out a lot of different stuff. So I can say there will be new dApps. So it's going to be more than just a launchpad, because that's one thing, is that we say we're not going to become a leader in the GemPad space, or in the GemPad. We're not going to just become a leader in the launchpad space, but we're going to be a leader in DeFi in general. So it's going to be more than just launchpad. So that's all I was saying, that kind of sense. But yeah, we will have a lot coming out, and we're not going to forget about the launchpad either. It will still be our main focus, but we will bring out kind of improvements and stuff like that. And we already actually have a few things we want to bring out for the launchpad, but we just haven't got to yet. But yeah, there will be a lot coming out, like a lot, very soon.
Awesome. It's really exciting. Thank you so much for answering. Over to you, Glenn.
Thanks for the questions.
Thanks for the question, Rana. Unfortunately, we've run out of time. It's been great speaking to Morty from GemPad. As I've said, they're one of our great partners that we launched a partnership together a long time ago, and it's been great seeing us both grow together in the space. And 223's got me super excited. I think the market's stabilized a bit, and I'm looking forward to the future for GemPad and for WorldCoin Talk and both teams. It's going to be an exciting future. Thank you very much for talking to us today, Morty. It's been great.
Thanks for having me on, Glenn. And yeah, I can't agree more. I think 2023 will be a great year for GemPad and WorldCoin Talk. So I look forward to going through the year with you.
Awesome. We'll see you again soon, and take care.
Thanks, Glenn. See you soon. Thanks for everyone. Thanks for listening. Bye.